Theodore, we have
Okay.
1 minute. Maybe we can wait for more participants to come in. Just 1 minute before we
Okay,
start.
we can wait.
Thank
Okay, we
you.
can wait. Okay, we can wait.
Okay. Theodore, may I have a permission to begin?
Okay.
Yep. Wandami Theodore, and good evening, everyone. Good morning to everyone in the West Hemisphere. Welcome to Lesson 66 on Visuddhimagga, patisambhidamagga, and commentaries. Today's session is scheduled to last 2 hours with 1.5 hours on coursework and remaining 30 minutes on Q&A. I'm Cynthia, the meeting co-host who will help Theodore and everyone in today's session. May we invite Theodore to start the teaching, and may we invite both interpreter Bantes to start their translation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Now we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. So we have already talked about many different explanations of Vipassana. We also have already mentioned 5 aggregate method, or the Namarupa method, or 12-based method, and many things. We also have already explained many different types of Anicca and Anatta contemplation. Today we are going to talk about Vipassana Samasana, 7 classifications of materiality. So here in this part, to divide into 7 groups of materialities. We have stanza, adana, nekepanato, Vayauda Tankama Gamino, Vayauda Odata Gamino, Aharoja Ududo, Kamado Jabi Chikado, Damda, Vitharina Vipasti. This is the stanza we can find in text. So we are going to talk about explanation of this. To follow, start with explanation of explanation of the first one, Adana Nikebana Rupa. So we also have analysis into 7 groups. Right? The one is Adana Nikebana, Vayauda Tankama, and also Haramaya, Udumaya, and Kamaja, Jidija, and Damanarupa. The next slide. Then we also have already explained the first one, right? Adana Nikebana Rupa. So in Adana Nikebana Rupa, we have to summarize Adhanami question. The next one. The refer to reverse thinking. Nikebana means discarding the refer to death. So that means every single Namarupas, there's a rising stage and perishing stage. But here we are talking about, we also say that it is rising and perishing. Then the meditator having delimited the span of 100 years through these 2 points, birth and death, applying 3 characteristics to conditioned phenomena. So we can also say Sankhara Dhamma. Okay, briefly, in the case of Adana Nikebana Rupa, every single life For example, this very life, all the rupa from birth to death. We have to follow all the rupas as a process. Then we have to contemplate that as anicca, dukkha, anatta, as detailed as possible. That means also as detailed as possible. That means we have to descend slowly until we can know all the rupas clearer. So this is called Adhanadikkhapana rupa. Then we have already talked about present. As you may remember, we have different types of present, right? For example, present, continuity present, and so on, right? So now here we should talk about Adhana means whole life. This also we call present life. Similarly, we can also discuss past lives to death. For example, the first past life, birth, death, second past life, the third past life, fourth past life, fifth past life, and so on. Similarly, if we can know future also, because there's some future life from birth to death. So this is called Adhanadikkhapana rupa. So when we are descending Adhanadikkhapana rupa, we must descend only rupa from birth to death in every single life, if we say in brief. Then we have another one, that is Vayodhanagama rupa. The next one. Vayodhanagama rupa means agent dissolution. Vaya means actually agent. Huda also, we can also say like a growing. Atangama means dissolution or passing away. That means the dissolution of form, that means materials, that is a mature and grows through the process of aging. And the three characteristics are blind through this aspect accordingly. In this part, we have to talk about many other things in detail. So for example, we talk about 100 years of life from birth to death. How can we know they are anicca, dukkha, anatta? Actually, we have already mentioned anicca, dukkha, anatta, right? Before. So we have already mentioned many different analysis anicca, maybe previous dhamma, if you recall. Similarly, we have many different analysis of definition of dukkha, anatta. Okay, they also we have already mentioned. For example, we just say arising and apparent. Before arising, they don't exist also. As it. That means no preparation time to arise. After passing away is also no more remainder. This is the nature of rupa. So when we are going to talk about anicca, we have to know this nature. Before arising, no preparation. No footage. After passing away also, no remainder, no footage anymore. That is called anicca. Similarly, dukkha. So that means we are tortured and that cannot arising and passing away repeatedly. That's when they are called dukkha. Anatta is very clear. They are out of our control. We cannot control them. Right? For example, we don't wish them to arise, but they are not under our control. They will arise naturally. Although we don't wish them to pass away, they will not follow our desire. They will pass away naturally. That's when they are also called anatta. So we have already talked about different types definition of anatta, so I will not elaborate too much here. Then we have to proceed different ages. The next one. So divide 100 years into 33 years, 34 years, 33 years, and contemplate them as anicca, dukkha, anatta in every single period. Okay, here we should elaborate a few more. For example, the first 33 years, we also have nama rupa. This nama rupa will arise and perish in the first age. it will not go to the second age. That is why they are also called anicca, dukkha, anatta. And similarly, we also have a second age, nama rupa, which here especially rupa, right? So second age, 34 years nama rupas were not continuous to the last 33. They will arise and vanish. So the 34, 33. Every period of lifespan, now nama rupa in every single part of lifespan, so we're not continuous to the next lifespan, the next life. So we also have to know that as anicca, dukkha, anatta. This also Vayodhana Rupa. Actually, we can also divide into many other things. Many other things means in the beginning we just talk about 33 years, right? Next one we divide into 10 years, 10 divisions. So when we say 10 divisions, the next one, we also have to understand different periods have different name. Okay, I already mentioned. Now that this age from a person who lived 100 years. Okay, now we should talk about the first one. The first 10 years are called the decade of weakness, Maggāmaggañāṇadassanavisuddhi. Here, in this case, although we say Manda, right? Manda have many other meanings. Manda slow, weak, also can be like maybe we got knowledge of can be called Manda. Because he also called Manda. Anyway, in this period, in this age, the time is very weak and steady, behave restlessly. We can also say like a Chinese behavior, right? Then this is also called Maggāmaggañāṇadassanavisuddhi. So this is the first 10 years. Then we have the next 10 years. The next 10 years are the decade of play, 𝐾 because the Chinese are mostly absorbed in play and amusement. You can also imagine 10 to 20. This is mostly playing, right? We can also say like have a lot of fun, we can say. Kita also can be translated as a fun, having fun. So that we just find some enjoying more at the time, right? Because the time is mostly not so mature yet. Then we have more enjoyable things in our life. Okay, now another one, the next 10 years are called decade of next one. Okay, the next 10 years are the decade of beauty, Varnadasaka, as the body and the complexion become radiant. So this one is, we can say, the most beautiful period in the life. So we don't need to explain too much also, right? Maybe we can also say, now modern society, we can also say like they know how to beautify themselves. Then they become a bit clever how to use cosmetic. Okay, anyway, the main thing is in this period, we can say this is the most beautiful according to age also. And now next one, the next 10 is 10 years are the decade of strength, Baladasaka. When physical strength and reach their peak. So that means in this age, we have the strongest point. Whatever we wish we can do, we have the ability to do. Physically also we are strong enough, mentally also we are strong enough, we can do whatever we like. This is, we can say, strongest period in our life. Okay, now we have to move the next one, Paññādasaka. Paññādasaka means the next one. The next 10 years are called the decade of wisdom, Paññādasaka. When discernment and the intelligence become well established. It said that even someone with weak natural intelligence will develop at least some wisdom during this time. So that means sometimes we may have some new idea, new way of thinking in this age. So another thing is at the time we become more knowledgeable also. We have more concentrates. Then they are called Panyadasaka. Actually, there are many other explanations about this, but it will be too long also, right? We have many different types of wisdom, but here in this case, we just say just natural wisdom. We can say according to modern society, although we know something new, we name like enlightened, right? So we get some enlightened. Enlightenment, that means we just know something new. We realize something new, right? We get like a freshly, we can know that kind of thing is called Panya Taka. Because the next one is the decade of decline, Hani Dasaka, the playfulness, beauty, strength, wisdom began to fade. So yeah, in this case, we say Hani means declining or weaken. So in this period, our mind may not incline to happiness too much. We become a little bit more mature. That's fine, right? Now our playfulness also decline. Finally, beauty also decline. Other things, the sun also decline. Wisdom also began to decline. They are called Anidasaka. Okay, we should move to the next one, Paparadasaka. So the next 10 years are the decade of downward slope. Paparadasaka. Then when the body starts to progressively lean forward or declining, then we bend our body a little bit. It depends on personality also. Maybe somebody has very strong, like exercising or something, or someday we are born, they are strong enough, they cannot be, like, that means they can maintain their body, right? And they may not bend forward too much. Now the next one is Vanga. So the next 10 years are the decade of deformity. Right? Vanga, when the body becomes bent like a tip of cloth. Body become a little bit weaker and weaker, then it will be bending forward. Okay, now next one we call Momuhadasaka. The next one. The next 10 years are the decade of bewilderment, Momuhadasaka, when delusion set in and one forgets what one was just done, right? So not only that, actually, we become very forgetful in this kind of age. That means, we don't remember what we have talked before. We don't remember who's the person we met. Although we have met sometimes, but we forgot that kind of. And sometimes we confuse the name, many things, right? Now you can also practically see many people around you. Sometimes they confuse. They don't remember the name, right? So like my grandmother, he passed away in this age, Wangadasaka. Actually, to remind her, my aunt had to tell my name many times. But finally, she could remember. Actually, I'm very close to her when I was layman, young boy, right? Anyway, that means when we grow older, we forget even our own family. Okay, now the last age is the final years, right? That is it. The decade of back rightness, when one mostly lying in bed. So that means we cannot stand up, we cannot sit down that easily without any help. That's why most of the time we must be in the bed. Right? This is called Mostly we must lie down or we must lean against something. This kind of age. This is called Vayodhatangama, right? Okay, now we have to move to the next one, as mentioned before. Okay, here we have already mentioned, right? The first 10 years periods division. So that means all the rupas in the past 10 years will arise and perish only in that period. We have to contemplate that as anicca dukkha anatta. Similarly, the next 10 years, we can divide into many 10 years. After that, we can say 10 years, and 10 times 100 years, right? For example, now another one is a 5-year period, 20 division. That means the first 5 years, rupas will not arise and perish in the second 5 years. We also have to contemplate that as anicca dukkha anatta. Similarly, 4-year periods, 25 divisions. The first 4 years, rupas will arise and perish only in that years, continues in the second 4 year. Similarly, 3-year periods, 33 divisions. So the first 3 years, rupas will arise and perish. They will not arise. They will not continue to the second 3 years. Similarly, 2 years periods, 15 divisions. 1 year periods, 10 divisions. 1 month period, 4 month periods, 300 divisions. 2 month periods, 300 divisions. These are shorter, longer to shorter, right? Now we have to talk about very short divisions. Next one, 4-night periods, 2,400 divisions. That means every 2 weeks. So according to Buddhist calendar, 15 days, 2 times called 1 month. 3 days, 30 days, 1 month, right? So the first 15 days, the second 15 days. So that means in the very beginning of our life, the first 15 days, rupas, where the rupa will arise and perish, although anicca dukkha anatta, they will not continue the second 15 days. We have to contemplate that as anicca dukkha anatta. So you can also understand 100 years of life, to say. So it's very much in detail of rupa. We have to follow, that's why in the very beginning of this talk, I have already mentioned, we have to follow all the rupas slowly, clearly. I have already mentioned as detailed as possible. As detailed as possible means we have to descend slowly. I have already mentioned that one in the very beginning. Again, divide each day into day and a night. So let me 1 day into 2 periods. 100 years of time. You can also imagine how long it will take. So nama rupas, here in the case of rupa sadhaka, we can say rupa, right? Rupa that arise in the daytime, may arise and perish, anicca dukkha anatta, they will not arise at night again. I mean, all the rupas that arise in the daytime is another. All the namas that arise, all the rupas arise in night and night is another. We have to divide into 2 different groups. So 1 day, 2 groups, or 100 years. Again, further into morning, noon, evening. This is a daytime, 3 periods. Nighttime also, too much of the night, I mean 3 times. So in this case, we can understand there will be 6 divisions in 1 day. 3 division in daytime, 3 division at night. So we can also understand 4 hours. The first from early morning to, right? We can say 4 hours, right? The first 4 hours. All the rupa that arise the first 4 hours of the day will arise and perish. They will not proceed arising in the second 4 hours. In this way, we also have to divide into many different groups, and we have to contemplate all types of rupas in detail. Anicca dukkha anatta again. Actually, this is also, there are also many other minor details in this part. Okay, then the next one, and we'll continue the next one. In this way, after having applied 3 characteristics, the meditator, when further contemplate the same material through the 6 movements involve ordinary body activities, namely stepping forward, 𝐵𝐻𝐻𝐻, stepping back, 𝐵𝐻𝐻𝐻, looking up, 𝐴𝐿oka, side 𝐕𝐢𝐬𝐻, bending, 𝐸𝐻𝐻, structure. So you can also find the same things in Mahatipatthana Sutta. So that is why whenever people ask me, what about 4 posture? Clear comprehension. So that means it's easier to practice. It is easier for me to practice clear comprehension. So should we do the beginner when we are practicing anapanasati? Should we focus on our legs or something, right? Whenever they are this kind of question, and just remind them, it's not for beginner. You can see, we have already talked about many different types of meditation methods, many different types of vipassana methods. This is the first time you have ever known this method, right? With clear comprehension according to Mahatipatthana Sutta. So that means when we talk about Samadjanya, actually it will be very minor. Okay? Very minor detail means this is just a stepping forward, 𝐵𝐻𝐻, stepping back, 𝐵𝐻𝐻, looking up, 𝐴𝐿oka, looking, glancing aside, 𝐕𝐢𝐬𝐻, bending, 𝐸𝐻𝐻, stretching, Vasana. This is just an example. Actually, there are more than that also, more detail than that practice. That is why it will take time to understand. So later, maybe we have to talk about Samadjanya, maybe when we talk about Mahatipatthana Sutta again, but it will be too long. Right now, I will going to use my topic as Oyawada Tangama. Okay, now we should talk about stepping forward. Only example here. The next slide, we already mentioned. So we analyze single step divided into 6 phases. So you can also imagine one single step divided into 6 divisions. There's too much in detail, right? Uttarana, lift foot off the ground. Okay, one more thing here. Lifting. This is also actually moving. Then whenever we move, this is a one element forces us to move. The mind will produce the wind, will produce the movement. That's why when we lift our foot off the ground, then we also have to know will produce the mind produce the wind, wind produce the movement. Finally, tiharana, moving it forward. So after our foot off the ground, we have to move forward because we have to go to make it. We have to go to make a step. That's why we have to move forward. When we move forward also, actually when element forces us to move forward, then there's also actually mind produce utilities. Okay, one more thing here for your understanding. In our meditation manual, we also have already mentioned carrying rupas, being carried rupas. We already mentioned the one in rupa meditation. Carrying rupa means in the case of every single movement, mind produce when elements materialities are carried all other rupas. All rupas mean it can be karma produce, mind produce, daksha produce, nutriment produce, any kind of rupas can be carried by when elements predominant, mind produce materialities. Another Vidhana. Vidhana means singing or adjusting it side, such as stepping over thorn or bag or something long. It's just example. Example means when we are going to, before we are going to step, we have to adjust also, right? We have to swing and adjust. Then if there's a stone, something harmful, we have to avoid, right? Actually, before we step on the ground, we have to swing our legs or adjust our legs from side to side also. So this is also called Vidhana. This Vidhana also say when elements predominance, mind produce materialities, rain or other rules. Okay, we have to know the next one, or sajjana. The next one. Sajjana means downwards. So that means we lift our legs, our foot, after that, just after that, falling down, falling legs. Materiality, carry or Kipana means place the foot on the ground. This also abilities carry. Not only Rombana, that means present the foot firmly on the ground and preparing again. To press. This is called sanit. So you can also imagine this one single footsteps. We have 3 rupas. With this are all rupas done and anatta in a part. Mentioned in the text. That is, if we know walking, so walking. No. Anyway, when we are our then other elements and weaker. Elements and when elements become stronger. So similarly, when we are going to move forward, also adjusting also, it will be the same. Elements and water elements become weak, and fire elements and elements become stronger. Let's talk about elements. Similarly, when we are lowering, at the time, one element and fire elements become a little bit weaker. Other elements and water element become stronger. Similarly, present foot on the ground, present foot firmly against the ground. What do we say? Fire element and one element become weaker. One element and other element become stronger. These are the conditions we have to know. This is just an example of footstep. Actually, we can also have to know many other things. The main thing is in every single step, that we have to know all these six in every single period. For example, when we are living, this is one other rupas. They arise and perish in that moment. When we move forward, no more. This is a new rupas. Similarly, when we adjust or swing, it's another rupas already. Then when we lowering, another rupas. Placing, another rupas. Present, also another rupas. So we have to know single steps, rising of different materialities, arising and apparition. Although we have to contemplate that as anicca dukkha anatta. This is the Mayavada Tangama Rupa. So okay, for your information, when can we talk about how we can discern full posture or clear comprehension? Actually, in the Samasana Jnana, in Rupa Sadhaka, we can start doing this. That's why it's not that simple. Actually, anytime when somebody asks this kind of question, I have already mentioned in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, clear comprehension chapter and full posture are not for beginner. But from Dhammanupassana, Nirana chapter about hindrances, and Vajrangabhava chapter about enlightenment factors are not for beginners. I have already mentioned many times. Now I have to say it again to be careful. So now we have one example, refinement of insight and simile of the lamp. A villager who had never seen a lamp before came to a city. While walking through the marketplace, he saw a lit wine lamp and struck by his beauty, asked somebody nearby. So friends, what is it that's shining so beautifully, right? So he has never seen that wine lamp, that's why he has this kind of question. And the first man answer, what the beauty is there in that? That is just an oil lamp. When oil runs out, and the wicks is consumed, even it's the part of flame will no longer be seen. This is the first man answer. Then we also have the second man. Even that a core understanding, a core understanding. When this thick wick burns down bit by bit, the flame at each touch will go out before reaching the next section. It won't continue smoothly. This is the second answer. Then we also have the next one. The next one. The band. That is a two. That two is called actually the flame at every finger width or half finger width section will go out, right, before reaching the next. It won't cross one fiber or thread before ceasing. Indeed, if you remove the thread itself, the flame cannot even be sustained at all. This is the explanation of the term. Okay, in the text it just mentioned only 3 answers. Okay, we can also talk about interpretation of all the simile. It will mention 7 interpretation. The first man views lamp's flame disappear when wine and wicks are consumed. Even the flame paths were no longer visible. The answer, reasons. the meditators insight when contemplating material phenomena within lifespan of 100 years from birth to death. The first one, Adhanandikipana Rupa. They also have second man's view. The flame at each start of wicks dine off before reaching the nest corresponds to yogis analyzing material form in 3 life stage: early life, middle life, or late life. Although we have already mentioned 100 years of life divided into 33, 32, 34, and 33. So it represents that answer. Now, next one, we have that view. The flame sees at each finger white section. So that means it becomes shorter, right? Previously, the first second, that now every single finger breadth of section. So he also mentioned, also represents the yogi contemplation of material form over the period of 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 year's divisions. Now we have a phase one, sorry, the fourth one. So the fourth view is the flame sees at every half finger section. Every half finger section, right? The parallels the yogi's contemplation by season, dividing a single year into 3 parts, then into 6 seasonal parts, like 4 months, 2 months cycles. Okay, we also have the next one, fifth view. The fifth one, the fifth flame sees at every stretch, referred to contemplation by lunar phases, day and night, even 6 parts of the day, morning, noon, evening, night, and watches. So these are fifths. We already mentioned all the 7, right? Now we have to use the 6. The next one. This is the flame seizures at every fiber strands, represents the yogi's extremely fine insight, analyzing each movement, such as stepping forward and backward, or lifting the place on the foot, lifting the place on the foot down to the finest split seconds change to material forms. Change in material forms. So this is a different divisions according to Vajavada Tangama Rupa. So we have divided into many different groups according to Vajavada Tangama Rupa. Okay, this is the, we can say, materiality, very simple. Then we also have to proceed many other parts of 7 ways of practicing Aramaya Rupa. See, Aramaya means the materiality produced by nutriment. So contemplative materiality produced by 4 causes: karma, consciousness, temperature, and nutriment during hunger and after eating. So this is the easier way to explain, right? So you can also recall your experience in your life. When you are hungry, our appearance is also not that looking good. Not only that, our behavior also a little bit maybe weak. Then it actually mentioned many different simile in the text. For example, it mentioned when we are hungry, we are like a iron. It will be like a little bit similar to the stem of the tree burned by fire. It also mentioned another simile. It can be a little bit similar to crow, a kind of bird, right? Crow. Like lying down in the charcoal. Because imagine charcoal is also black. Crow also black, right? So this we have that kind of simile. Also, that means not very beautiful, not looking nice. When we have eaten, after eating, then our body will change different form. Not only that, you may remember the types of materialities. Lahuta, Muruta, Kamanyata. Lahuta means lightness, Muruta means flexibility, Kamanyata also readiness, we can say, right? Okay. Now, when we have enough foods, our body is light, a little bit light. Also more flexible. When we are ready. That's why we have to divide into two different conditions in our daytime. In every single day, we will be hungry, we will be satiated. So we have to divide into two different periods in every single day. When we are hungry, this is another robot. They arise and perish at the time of hunger. After eating, this other robot. So that means different periods, they arise and perish. They also anatta. We have to collaborate like this. That is also the first thing we have to know. Another one is Uttamaya Rupa. Contemplating material produced by four causes during the hot and cold conditions. So here are four causes me, as mentioned before, gamma produce, consciousness produce, temperature produce, nutriment produce, all types of rupas, right? So, okay, similarly, our body have different response. When it's too hot also, our bodies are not looking nice, right? We are very easy to get tired. So if extremely cold also not looking nice, right? So if we have good weather, that means our body is a bit lighter, easier, more flexibility. So in this case, when hot is different number of rupas, when cold is another number of rupas. Here we're talking about rupa, that's why only rupa. When hot, many rupas, kama, jita, uja rupas will arise. They will perish at the moment of heat, at the moment of cold. So that means the rupa that arise in the hot time will not proceed to cold time. We will divide into two different conditions in one day. So this is also called anicca dukkha anatta. Another one is kamaja, kama produce materialities. Okay, here we should talk about kama produce materialities a little bit more in detail, because this one is common in our daily life. In the case of kamata rupa, contemplating kama born materialities at the rise and cease, in essence those throughout the day, without transpiring between the doors. It's a mention like that, right? Actually, we have already talked about different types of rupa kalabas in different doors. For example, in the eyes, we also have eye transcendency, also Teke kalabas. Similarly, body transcendency in the eyes, also sense materialities in the eyes. Then we also have light kalabas in the eyes. Not only that, we also have mind produce, temperature produce, nutriment produce. All these rupa will arise in the eyes. Then we can place all the rupas in the eyes as anicca, dukkha, anatta, seeing their present version. So we also have to go to design in the ear doors. In the ear also, ear translucency, body translucency, symmetricities, light kalabas. After that, we have mind produce, temperature produce, nutriment produce. So we have to discern all the rupa that arise in the eye door were not moved to ear doors. They are separated. Then we have to contemplate all the rupas in the ear door as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Similarly, in the nose door, we also have no translucency, body translucency, cell fertilities, primary kalabas, mind produce, temperature produce, nutriment produce. All the rupa kalabas will arise and perish in the nose door. They will not move to eye or ear. Similarly, eye and ear and materiality will never move to nose door. You can also understand the same in the tongue, body, and the mind. So they will arise separately in their individual doors. They are respected doors. They will not move to another. This is just an example. Actually, when you are practicing in Rupa meditation, you also have already known 42 body parts. Each body parts. For example, in the head hair, we also have the same body consistency, bhava rupas, life faculties, rupas. Then they will not move to body hair. Hair, right? All the rupas are only in the head hair. They don't have time to move to body hair also. Rather than preparation. We can also contemplate like this, all the 40 body parts also possible. So in the original text, it just mentioned only 6 doors. It doesn't mention 42 body parts. Actually, among the 40 body parts, most of them are very similar to body door. That is why we can also do 42 body parts. The summit in Kamaja. Okay, now we have to move the next one. Chitta Samutthana Rupa. Chitta Samutthana Rupa will be a little bit different from previous one because it's also same to Haramaya and Udumaya. Contemplative materialities produced by the 4 causes within time of happiness and distress. So I have already mentioned 4 causes produced by Kama, Chitta, Udun, Ahara, all the rupas in our body. When we are happy, of course, we feel fresh. Our body also feel fresh. But when we feel very sad or distressed or unhappy, body becomes very heavy. We are not very active. It will be different conditions, different rupas. So we have to divide into 2 different conditions in every day in our daily life. So all the rupa that arise when happy will arise and perish only at the time. They will not continue arising in we have encountered in sadness or distress. Similarly, all the rupa arise when distress or unhappy will arise and perish only at the time. They will not move to happiness, the time of happiness. So we have to contemplate that as anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is called Chitta Rupa. Okay, these are very simple Then we have the last one among the 7 materialities, 7 way of descending materialities. That is Dhammadharupa. So when we say Dhammadharupa, it can be many other non-living things, contemplating materialities in animate objects like trees, mountain, water, earth. Now we have to contemplate that as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Although I just list out very simple things, right? Very simple list, very small list of number of material, like one tree. Actually, there are many non-living things. For example, you may have your favorite gem or some ornament. Okay, for example, you have jade or emerald. This is also Dhammadharupa. Only temperature brought to materialities. So they also has an aberration, anicca, dukkha, anatta. Then you have your favorite clothes. The clothes also actually uddhacca-rupas, temperature brought to materialities. Then this also anicca, dukkha, anatta. Okay, similarly, you may have your favorite foods. The same is also uddhacca-rupas. They are as an aberration. They are also anicca, dukkha, anatta. You may have your favorite house, a favorite place to rest. It can be like a beach. Also can be somewhere, right? In the forest, maybe quiet area or isolated area. Whatever enjoyable things you can recall. The nature of rupas, also the nature of horizon aberration. You also have to contemplate that as anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is called Dhammadharupa. Actually, we should talk about tree. Okay, the first one, trees, right? Although we see the trees, then in the tree also there are many parts. For example, branches, like a trunk, branches, leaves, flower, fruits. We can also talk about leaves again. Leaves also have very long process, come from sprout. It becomes a little bit bigger. Finally, it becomes very hard material. Finally, it becomes a little bit weaker. Gradually become weaker. Further, finally drop. They cannot hold the stand anymore. Then they drop. They fall to the ground. So we can also know the process of leaves. Sometimes we also have attachment to the leaf, right? Oh, that is very beautiful. That's all right. We can also recall any leaf you like, you feel beautiful or you have attachment. Recall. From sprout to wither after the drying leaves. Whole process. Contemplate that as an example, Canada. Similarly, flowers also come from trees. Fruit come from trees. We can also do the same. Full process. Then we have to contemplate that as anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is also called Dhammadharupa. Okay, now after that, we have to move the next one about arupa sadhaka. So when we say arupa sadhaka, there are also 7 ways of contemplating immateriality, because mentality. Okay, one more thing for your understanding. Arupa immateriality means nama, mentality. Right? This is according to Pali nations. Okay, we have 7 different ways of contemplation, mentalities. So although we say simply, but actually there are many different discernments. The first one, Kalapa Samasana, contemplating materialities, contemplating immaterialities from Asataka collectively, and also contemplating the insight knowledge itself. One more thing here. First, the Kalapa, collectively contemplation. So then we have already talked about all the rupas mentioned in 7 way of discernment as or rupa. Now we can also contemplate that as anicca. Now, the inside knowledge that know the rupas also as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Actually, in every single period, every single body part, we can also do the same. As we mentioned, by those 42 body parts, right? Everywhere we can do nama rupas. Yeah, in this case, although we say immaterial, we can also say rupa because we have to contemplate rupa as anicca, dukkha, anatta, and we have to go to nama as anicca, dukkha, anatta like that, right? So that means we just see rupa as anicca. Inside knowledge is actually nama. We also have to contemplate nama as anicca, dukkha, anatta again. Okay, yamaga. Contemplating each aspect of materiality from rupa sataka separately, and also contemplating in the inside knowledge. Okay, so here we have already mentioned 7 way of rupa before. So in the very beginning, we already mentioned adhana nikkipana rupa, from birth to death. So we have to contemplate all the rupas from birth to death as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Okay, I should say a little bit, maybe slowly in this case. Rupa, adhana nikkipana rupa as anicca. Inside knowledge also anicca, dukkha, anatta. Adhana nikkipana rupa is dukkha, and inside knowledge is also anicca, dukkha, anatta. Adhana nikkipana rupa is anatta. Inside knowledge is also anicca, dukkha, anatta. If you can do like this, it's a little bit better, right? But sometimes you may get confused. Oh, it's very messy. Okay, make it simple. Adhana nikkipana rupa anicca, inside knowledge anicca. Adhana nikkipana rupa dukkha, inside knowledge dukkha. Adhana nikkipana rupa anatta, inside knowledge anatta. This is also possible. Okay, this is Yamaka. Similarly, we have Vyavada Tangama Rupa. Very long explanation, right? You may have already remember 100 years, 3 periods, right? Then we can divide into 10, many divisions. So all the Vyavada Tangama Rupas, anicca, knowledge, anicca, dukkha, anatta. Let's say we do separately. After Vyavada Rupa, we also have already mentioned many other definitions, right? That means when we have already listed out 7 ways of discernment, you have already know Haramaya, Uttumaya, Kamaja, Chittaja, Dhammata Rupas, and every single Rupa, divide and redo. Only a few things different. That Rupa also anicca, inside knowledge also anicca. Only 10 of things will be a little bit different. Okay, one more thing here. When we talk about khanika, contemplating each aspect of materialities separately up to the stage of inside knowledges. Okay, this one's a little bit difficult for you, maybe, right? Okay, in this kind of case, we have to elaborate a few more. A few more means, for example, we are talking about, sorry, adhana nikkipana rupa as anicca. This is the first, just gonna be the first one, right? So then we have another inside knowledge. We have to know nama as the inside knowledge also anicca. If we say maybe a little bit simple way, okay, that would be 5 stages of inside knowledge. They can say 5 steps. 1, Arana Nikirana as anicca. 2, the inside knowledge that take Arana Nikirana Rupa as also anicca. 3, then previous inside knowledge also anicca. 4, will take inside knowledge as anicca. 5 will take 4 inside knowledge as anicca. Then 6 will take 6 inside knowledge as anicca. We can contemplate anicca dukkha anatta like this. So that means 1 is anicca dukkha anatta. It can be contemplated by 2. 2 is contemplated by 3. 3 is contemplated by 4. 4 is contemplated by 5. 5 is contemplated by 6. In this way. So we have to do kanika. That means more in detail. So sometimes we also have attachment to inside knowledge. We also have to know inside knowledge is also anicca. Okay, now 4. Patipati. Okay, patipati means contemplating each aspect of materiality separately up to 11 stages of inside knowledges. That means 11 steps. The first one will take Arana Nikirana Rupa as anicca, for example, right? Then second will take the inside knowledge anicca. The third one will take the second. The fourth will take the third until 11. This is called patipati. So this is also a very long process, very much in detail. After that, we have the next one. After patipati, we have Ditthi Ukkhatana. Okay, here for your information, whenever we learn sutta, sometimes you may also find Etam Mama Isoha Masmi Isomi Atta, right? That one. Etam Mama Isoha Masmi Isomi Atta, right? As I already mentioned that one into 3. Etam Mama, that is it. Tanha, craving. Isoha Masmi, this is a mana. Isomi Atta, that is it. Ditthi. I already mentioned these 3, right? Now, okay, now. Why we say these 3? Ditthi and anatta are opposite. So that means we have to contemplate all the rupas as anatta. So that means we will contemplate anatta of all the formations. Yeah, it's an order formation, right? I mean, all non-rupas as anatta. So if we can contemplate anatta, we can also overcome wrong view. That's what you call Ditthi Ukkhatana. Then again, we have Mana Ukkhatana. Contemplation of formation as impermanent. Anicca. So here also, mana and impermanence are opposites. So you can also imagine, if we know that it's impermanent, we cannot be proud of it. Okay, for example, then you may have very luxurious house. Then you may have seen earthquake in Myanmar, earthquake in Turkey, right? Turkey, it damaged many houses. We also know the impermanence of good houses, right? Good housing. Well, that means if we know the impermanence, we will not be proud of our house anymore. That's why if we can contemplate anicca, we can also overcome mana. Isoha masmi. The Nikandipuriyadhana, contemplating all formation as suffering, dukkha. Of course, you have already known the meaning of dukkha. So we have attachment to many different things. If we know all the things we enjoy are suffering, of course, no more attachment. That's why Nikandipuriyadhana is also one of the contemplation to overcome. Sorry, dukkha, contemplation of dukkha also one of the way to overcome attachment. Okay, these are called Visuddhimagga, Maggāmaggañāṇadassanavisuddhi, Nikandipuriyadhana. So whenever you read some information from the Sutta, then you can also remember Visuddhimagga, Maggāmaggañāṇadassanavisuddhi, Nikandipuriyadhana. Whenever you have read some information like Edamama, Esoamasmi, Esomi-Ada. Edamama means number 7, Nikandipuriyadhana. Descending anicca. Also descending dukkha. Esoamasmi, number 6, Maggāmaggañāṇadassanavisuddhi. Then contemplating anicca. Esomi-Ada, Visuddhimagga, contemplating as non-self. So from time to time, the Buddha also asks the disciple, can you say they are as Edamama, Esomi-Ada, right? Most people say, no, we cannot say Edamma, Esomi-Ada. That means they have already known anicca, dukkha, anatta very clearly. Okay, these are explanations of Arupa Sattaka. Altogether, 7 different discernment. So today we just finished 7 Rupa Sattaka and then 7 Arupa Sattaka. So this is today's Dhamma talk, right? Luckily, internet is smooth today. Okay. If we summarize, right? We have to know Nama Rupa. So how many ways do you have to know Nama? Okay, now you can know 7 ways to contemplate Rupa, 7 ways to contemplate Nama. You have to remember all these things whenever we talk about Nama Rupas. This is Samasana Jnana, very beginning of Anicca Dukkha Anatta discernment. Okay, so next week we will going to use Mahavipassana. If we can, we also going to use Udayapaya Jnana. So it will be a little bit in detail. Maybe I will add something from patisambhidamagga also. It will be a little bit heavy also, right? Today also a little bit heavy. Anyway, it's worthy. So whenever you remember Nama Rupa, remember 7 ways for Rupa, 7 ways for Nama. It will be more meaningful, right? You all be able to practice 3 trainings and may you all be able to realize participation and not suffering. Okay?
Thank you, 𝐸𝐸. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. 𝐸𝐸, we will first read questions that's sent in by the participants, and then they take questions from the floor. So dear participants, you may send in your questions via the Zoom chat
我听说
or
佛
raise
陀
hand.
曾修习7色观和7非色观以延长寿命。如果这属实，为何此类观法能够延长寿命？即便是佛陀，也受此法利益吗？
No, this is not long life, right? Actually, we can say Buddha has like a Ayurveda Samapatti. We can say Ayurveda Samapatti, right? It just means life for lifelong, to live long. That this Vipassana not to live long. What I would do is sustain his life, he just use Ayurveda Samapatti, different things, right? Okay.
Wandami 𝐸𝐸, what is the purpose of contemplating materiality from 7 different angles, and how does this classification support insight into impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so that means the more in detail we know, the more we can break down the competitiveness. But you may have already known competitiveness, right? I have already mentioned about competitiveness. For example, cognitive competitiveness. We can know all the numbers in detail. We can also break down the competitiveness of continuity. If we can break down competitiveness of continuity, we can also know the nature of anicca clearer. I've already mentioned many times also that one, right? Similarly, if we know they are resonant away out of our control, then we can also know anatta very clearly. Okay, what about the dukkha? Also, we already mentioned we are distracted by horizon embellishment. This is dukkha, right? But the main thing is if we can know very much in detail, we can break down components. We can also know the anicca clearer. And the next one.
Wanda Miss Yador. Please, Yador, elaborate more about when lifting of feet and the step feels so light. Is it a cause of fire element or wind element? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Actually, in the case of lightness, right? And it's actually, you can also see this is a earth element, lightness, right? But one more thing. So this is also mind-produced materialities. That is why when we say lightness, Lodamuda Kamanyada, we can say Lodamuda Kamanyada, right? It can be produced by Kama, Chitta, and Ahara. Sorry, no Kama. Chitta, Udu, Ahara, sorry, 3. That is why it can be produced by your mind, maybe. Right? Next one.
礼敬希尔多，请问老师，关于果定，是否出果2果圣者入果定比较不容易，需要反复多次练习？3果、4果圣者会比较自在。sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Actually, for entering, this is not the problem. Only for mastery, it will take time. Right? For example, when you take jhana, you can enter easily. Only to be skillful, you need masteries, right? Similarly, when they attain Maggaphala, they can attain fruition attainment easily. Maybe do enter very quickly or to emerge very quickly, they need masteries. There will be some condition. If they are very busy, have a lot of impediments, they cannot enter. There will be deception.
Wanda Miss Yador, how does analyzing daily moments and breaking a single step into 6 phases help sharpen mindfulness and clear comprehension? During practice, what kind of challenges might arise when sustaining this level of detailed awareness, and how can they be overcome? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so this is a norm for beginner, I have already mentioned, right? If you have already discerned carrying rupas and being carried rupas smoothly, in this kind of case, it will be easier. If you have never discerned carrying rupas and being carried rupas before, you may have many difficulties. So that is why, for example, when we stretch our hand, stretch out our hand, right? Also, this also carried by the wind element. We mentioned, right? Wind element, 5 element will become predominant at the time, right? So wind element is more predominant at the time. Anyway, main thing is we have to know mind produce the wind produce movement. If we can know in detail, we also have the intention to stretch our hand. It's a mind, right? It produces the wind produce movement. We make that kind of habit of carrying rupas and being carried rupas in our daily life. It's smooth. Otherwise, it will be difficult.
Vandamisiado, are each of the 7 contemplation on materiality and immateriality meant to counter specific defilements, or are they progressive steps in gradual training? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
You can say this is just progress for graduate training. As I mentioned, we don't have to overcome some defilements in this case, right? In the case of Samasana Jnana, this is actually Samasana Jnana. Because this is the we can say highest part of Nama Rupas in Samasana Jnana. After that, one more part, that was say Mahavipasana. The next we have to talk about Mahavipasana, right? This is the last part of Samasana Jnana. After that, we have to move to Uddhava Jnana. So that's why this is the top practice. Going to the last practice for Namarupa in Samasana Jnana.
礼敬西亚顿七非色观法听起来非常精细深奥，特别是第3到第7种方法。这种修法是否对治贪慢见等烦恼非常有利？萨度萨度萨度。
Yeah, so if you can do very well, actually every single inside knowledge, we can overcome defilements. This one's a special practice to overcome the mana ditthi, right? Because it will be more powerful for you. You have new experience of overcoming all the wrong view, mana, and attachment. The next one.
礼敬西亚顿，为什么有些禅修者会为自己能够修观而感到骄傲呢？萨度萨度萨度。
Actually, this is impurity, right? So when they feel that they are better or they are smarter, when they have that kind of mindset, this is for their decline, not for improve. Okay. And this is, we can say they that kind of habit in the past also, maybe in their life. That means in their daily life, or they have that kind of mana, that's when it's very easy for them to be arrogant. Next one.
Vandamisiado, with so many methods of practicing vipassana, how does a meditator discern which approach is more effective or suitable for their own development? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so that means since all of us are blind, so we have to do all the methods. When we talk about Bodhito, that's Dhammato, I have already mentioned, we have to try all the anicca, discernment, dukkha, anatta, all the explanation, right? Or you already mentioned 10 types of anicca, then 25 dukkha, 5 anatta, altogether 40, right? We get the 42. Try all of them. You have to be very familiar with all these. Later, we will have very mature inside knowledge. Trying to choose the best one, then it will be very effective for you. As a beginner, we will try all the methods. Later, we will choose our own favorite one or the strongest one. Okay.
Vandamisiado, if a meditator is unable to discern materiality and immateriality in such a fine detail, what should be done to strengthen the practice? Is it more appropriate to first re-establish strong concentration or to return to the foundation contemplation of Namarupa? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, it depends on many other conditions also. For example, sometimes you cannot see number clearly. If that kind of thing happen, okay, you can see resemblance concentration. Right? So that means if your concentration is not very strong, okay, go to very beginning, Anapana. Easy, right? So it depends on the condition you have. There can be different practice. So, okay, if we summarize, when you lost concentration, you have to start from 0. If you lost nama rupa, okay, stop. You can reestablish concentration. But you can see nama rupa, but you cannot know their anicca dukkha anatta very clearly. Okay, how to make nama rupa clearer? Although you can see nama rupa very clearly, then you keep encountering difficulty to know very much in detail. Okay, that means how to discern, make time to discern nama rupa clearer and clearer. When you can know nama rupa clearer and clearer, you can also know all the methods. Depends on condition you have. There can be different steps. Okay, we can say move backward for a while. One step, move backward. Then get ready. After that, move forward again. You can say like that. Next one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you are practicing, right? That one is very difficult for me to answer. Actually, in the case of anatta, if you can break down components, for example, if you can break down the components, all the rupa rise together, all the nama rise together in every single moment. And for example, all the mentality will arise as a process. This is it. Cognitive components. Okay. And in every single process, there's a mind moment. In every single mind moment, there's also associated mentalities. They are like a group. If you can know the group of mentalities that are together, or the group of mentalities, rupa, are together, you can break down synthetic components. And you can also know the nature of anatta clearer. Okay, I can say only that. Next one.
Vanamisiado, Upachara Samadhi, is it the same with the Kanika Samadhi? In the mind-door process, Abhidhamma mentioned to attain enlightenment, which Samadhi arise. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay. So here in the case of Samadhi, Upachara Samadhi is actually Samatha. Samadhi is actually Vipassana. Previously, I have already shown one of the notes from Project Abhidhamma. I'm not sure you may have this one or not. Okay, anyway, the main thing is that I should talk about Kanika Samadhi a little bit briefly. So when we say Kanika Samadhi as a foundation, entering into any jhana, for example, first jhana. Entering into first jhana, imagine from it, there's some jhana dhamma, I mean mentality materialities. Now we have to contemplate as anicca dukkha anatta. At the moment of vipassana, Kanika Samadhi arises. That is why Upachara Samadhi is in Samatha, Kanika Samadhi can be in Vipassana, according to explanation. So if we don't have any jhana, for example, we will design 4 elements, we cannot take jhana. After designing 4 elements, when we have the concentration, and we will start designing materials in 6 rows. I mean, we are start designing robots. At the time, Samadhi arrives. So then Kanika Samadhi can arise only in Vipassana, not in Samatha. Okay? Next one.
Dear participants, do you have any questions for 𝐸𝐸𝐻? You may raise your hand or send in your questions via the Zoom chat, please. Thank you. Oh, okay, we have one question.
Okay.
Is there a questions from the Zoom chat? Okay, yes.
Okay, Vietnam. Mm. Okay, I'm sure. Even I can understand now. Okay.
Are there any more questions for 𝐸𝐸𝐻? Else, shall we proceed to close today's session, 𝐸𝐸𝐻?
Okay.
Okay, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear 𝐸𝐸𝐻, thank you very much for your teachings today, and also our interpreter Bantes for their translation. May we invite 𝐸𝐸𝐻 to lead us in making aspiration and sharing of merits, please? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Yadavadaja amehi sambadam bunya sambaram sabbe deva numodandu sabbe buddha numodandu sabbe sada numodandu sabba sampati siriya idame nyadina hodu sukhita hondu nyad idame nyadina hodu sukhita hondu nyado idame nyadina hodu sukhita hondu nyadayo idame bunyam asawakaya wahamudu idame bunyam nibbana pajiyo hodu mama bunya bhagam sabasadanam bhajemi ye sabe me samam bunya bhagam labandu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, 𝐸𝐸𝐻, and everyone for your time and participation. Till we meet next Saturday, may all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.